Try some of these recipes out. I have a lot of exciting content coming for the holiday season, and don't worry, they're all unrelated to the holidays. With everybody trying to force it down your throat,
He's an angry elf.
Mr. Green, really are a hero.
Hello my peeps, welcome back to the channel and happy December. I hope you're all doing great. I, for one, spent last night in the ER because for just the second time in my 27 years, the peanut curse got me good. But I'm fine now. Thank you all so much for your support and concern over on my socials. But PSA, do not eat suspicious brown Chinese sauces if you don't know what's in them. On the bright side, maybe my allergies are a little less severe than they used to be because it didn't kill me. On the negative side, I now know what I'm missing because that sauce was damn good. And based on what all y'all say out there, Reese's might have to be next. But back to business here, I wanted to kick off this month's festivities with a very strong slate of holiday-inspired recipes across all platforms, some of which could very easily have me back in that same emergency room I was in last night, but it's a chance I'm willing to take, and let's get right into this one. To kick off today's festivities very strongly, we're going to be starting with this sugar cookie martini, which has been on my list, I want to say, since last July. It just looks so damn good, and to make it, I grabbed vanilla vodka and vanilla soy milk, Irish cream, frosting, and some rainbow sprinkles now. In her original video, she uses not only almond milk, but also amaretto, which I think has almonds too, so in order to avoid a repeat of yesterday, I will be omitting those ingredients. And yes, I did cheap out with the off-brand alcohol bottles, but listen, the brand name stuff these days, like Bailey's and even Smirnoff, are so damn expensive, and when you're mixing stuff together like this, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be worth saving probably 40-50 bucks. And all I had to do here was vigorously mix together equal parts of the milk, vodka, and faux Baileys. Strain that into a chilled and prepared martini glass with the frosting and sprinkles. It's as simple as it gets and seems to be right up my alley for this time of the year. Now, should I be drinking alcohol at 11:30 in the morning after yesterday? Perhaps not, but maybe it's exactly what I need right now. This is really good. I love how creamy it is. It mostly just smells like frosting and sweetness. And you can't convince me that paying 2 or 3 times more for the brand name bottles of all those liquors would be worth it. You're mixing them all together and covering it with frosting and sprinkles. So save your money, opt for the cheaper stuff, but I do recommend giving this one a shot. Next up on the slate today is another one that has been on the to-do list for forever. It's another one that could seriously upgrade your holiday party plans. It is the fully edible Peppermint Bowl from Cakes and Candles over on TikTok, and unsurprisingly, for this you need a whole bunch of peppermint candies. And of course, whatever else it is you want to put in said bowl, if this works, whether that be more candy, maybe some cookies. Which brings me to my first point, in that, as good as this looks in his video, I'm seriously questioning the practicality of this. Is this just gonna be a sticky, dust-collecting mess? I can't imagine you'd be able to keep this out for any amount of time longer than the day you make it, unless you want the world's greatest ant magnet in your house. I also don't know how this man had the bravery to just put straight-up candy on a metal tray and melt them. I feel like there's no way these won't stick, even with some grease. So if you do in fact try anything like this, I highly recommend using a Silpat or parchment like I am today. And it did take a bit longer in the oven than I was expecting. I want to say I left it in a 300-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. I wanted to get a nice even softening and slight melt of the candies, but without them completely liquefying and bubbling up. And please remember, this is going to be very hot, as all molten sugar is. This could give you a serious burn. And all said and done, this looks pretty good. It seems like it worked. I definitely let it cool down a bit before pulling that parchment off. And now it's time to give it a try, hold it and carry it around the house. I don't know. I mean, it looks pretty cool, don't get me wrong. I do wish that the coolest part of it wasn't the bottom, because you're not gonna see that. Most people will just see the ugly sides. Came out a little unevenly, and the edges did melt quite a bit more, but we're fine. So let's do the test here. It's pretty minty. I don't know. It's cool. If you're having a big holiday party, I guess give it a go. It doesn't really take too long. Those candies were super cheap too. I think it was like $1 a bag at the grocery store, so if you're creative and you trust yourself to not burn your hands on molten sugar, give it a try. Next up today are these honestly kind of horrific Christmas deviled eggs with a whole lot of dye and glitter. It's stuff like this that makes you question just how people can operate with such reckless abandon when it comes to their insides and health. And to make them, I grabbed some paprika and hot sauce, mayo and eggs, Dijon mustard, relish, red and green, edible glitter, and food dyes, and salt and pepper. And when I was out searching for red and green edible glitter, I couldn't find it in the first store I was in. I think they only had like gold and silver, and as tempted as I was to grab some lesser edible glitter, I refrained because I called the second store and they did in fact have them, so shout out to Ashley for helping me find them and not poisoning myself any further. Now, if you're anything like me, your first reaction when you see these is probably why, and also who, and where. You might just assume this was a troll, but based on most of the other videos from this Instagram page, it doesn't seem like it, and they make a whole ton of them, presumably for a big party or a family gathering, so there are people out there who actually do this stuff. At least I was comforted by all the top comments of this video, such as, "You do not have free healthcare," and "straight to jail." You may also then be wondering why it is I'm sitting here making these dumb things, and the answer to that would be I cave very easily to peer pressure, and a lot of you sent this to me. And at the very least, 90% of this is normal. You know, you boil your eggs with a little bit of baking soda, apparently that helps them peel a little bit easier. You chop them in half and make the filling exactly as you would for your normal deviled egg. Just loaded with the mayo, mustard, relish, all your seasonings to taste. And then we get to the parts of the weirdness by submerging all the eggs in some red and green dye. I actually left these overnight to fully absorb the color, try to get super vibrant. And the following day, what do you know, they were not vibrant at all. Apparently we're having pink and blue eggs this Christmas. I don't know what else I could have done. I put half a bottle of dye in each one of these. Maybe full bottles were required, but regardless, I powered through. I dipped the tops in the glitter, piped some of my filling in each one, and we are just about there. Do I want this stuff in my body? Not really, but as we've learned over the years, when do I get what I want? What a train wreck. From the colors, they look like pastel Easter eggs, to the fact they're slipping and sliding all over this plate. I tried to dry them the best I could, but they're still quite damp. And I'm almost certain that just one of these will be more glitter than you're supposed to eat in one sitting. But here goes nothing. It tastes pretty good. Don't do these. If you feel so inclined to do them, you could dye them, but stop short of the glitter. It's so unnecessary. The flavors are fine. It's a very standard deviled egg filling. But is it worth blowing $15 on glitter just to make your digestive tract look like a middle school girl's eyeshadow? I don't think so. Lastly today, and potentially our saving grace, is possibly the most delicious looking cake I've ever seen in my life. It's this gingerbread swirl cake from In Bloom Bakery, and I grabbed some sugar and buttermilk, heavy cream and flour, kosher salt, molasses, vanilla extract, and our pumpkin pie spice, baking powder, lots of butter, baking soda, brown sugar, and a couple of eggs. Now I realize up until this point, none of these recipes have been too involved. I'm assuming this is going to be a little bit shorter of a video. But I'd argue that this last one is going to make up for it a bit. We are not only making the cake from scratch, but also a gingerbread caramel, a frosting to top the whole thing. And the cake mix comes together very simply by first mixing your dry ingredients, creaming together your butter and sugar, adding in lots of eggs and vanilla one by one. Of course, lots of molasses, which I think is essential to anything gingerbread adjacent. And then just like Tasty's ultimate chocolate cake, we rotate between the dry ingredients and the buttermilk. I'm not sure exactly what this does, but I know that bakers always stress you want to start and end with the dry ingredients, so if you know why that is, please enlighten me in the comments. And by the way, while I finish prepping up the rest of these cake components, allow me to just say, I'm looking to make some pretty big changes come next year. Obviously we're gonna finish this holiday season out, as expected, but in the coming months I'm gonna evaluate pretty much every aspect of these videos in this channel, from the formats, possibly the editing style, possibly the filming locations. So if you've got any suggestions, please leave them down in the comments. Hit me up over on Instagram. You guys know the link. Now, I was a bit worried about this caramel sauce, mostly because she didn't give a temperature target as to when to dump your cream in. The recipe just says to simmer off your sugar and butter for 5 minutes, which is not very specific. But after I let it cool down for quite a bit, it thickened up, I would say, enough. Also, this cake calls for a cream cheese frosting, and guess who's not gonna make that today? This guy. I've already eaten enough glitter for the next 2 years, and I don't want to ruin this with something I know I'm not gonna like, so I whipped up a very simple buttercream frosting. It'll function just as well for this, so leave me alone. And right now is the moment for all you trypophobiacs to look away, because to finish this cake off, you gotta poke a million holes in the top for all that caramel to seep in there, which I love the idea of. This pretty much prevents any chance of this cake being dry. Swirl the top off with lots of your frosting, even more of that caramel drizzle, and wow. I know this is gonna be good, but will it be good enough to offset all the other tomfoolery we've experienced recently? Now is the time to find out. You can't tell me that this doesn't look just as good as any other cake where you would spend 20 minutes perfectly frosting the outside. That caramel swirl topping looks so good, even without the cream cheese frosting. This is absolutely delicious. I'm kind of shocked how gingerbread forward it is. It tastes like a gingerbread cookie in the form of a cake. All those spices are right there. The caramel all throughout the cake and over the top prevents any potential dryness. The molasses are right there. The frosting is good enough. This gets my highest praise. Give it a shot this holiday season, or any time of the year if you like gingerbread. It's one of the least intimidating cakes I've made with one of the highest payouts, so great job to that TikToker.
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.